One question that probably will make me look bad, and maybe even look you look bad because I'm asking it. So it's my
I don't
fault
care.
if anybody gets offended. But one of my concerns that it's kind of nobody talks about it, but you know, is society too dumb for a collapse to happen? Because here we have the president can now arrest people without even you having access to an attorney. Nothing from society. The banks can do
Yeah.
bailouts. Trillions of dollars can be moved around. Nothing happens. I mean, can they just manage this between the elites and where nothing? I mean,
Yeah.
it almost like it takes a panic to have a crisis,
Sure.
and society just too dumb to see it.
Well, like on some level, I mean, if you asked me during my trying to wake my parents and partners up, I would have been in that anger stage and being like, just dumb sons of bitches won't listen. But the reality is, and this is what's been driving me, I don't think people are stupid. I think that they're not been brought face to face with the consequences of actively or passively supporting the system. And when people do come to the active or to the consequences, panic will set in. And I've said that there's 5 stages of awakening. Right now, the majority of humanity is in the denial stage, and it's very easy to be in denial right now. Why would you think that the dollar is going to collapse when you can go to your store right now, go buy a pack of cigarettes and something from China and all that other stuff, and feed yourself, and you'll be fine. There's no reality telling you that. But when this does collapse, as you and I know, it's a mathematical inevitability. You can't continue to pile on debt ad infinitum and pass the bill down to generation after generation, especially when most of the real wealth is heading over into another part of the world. Ponzi schemes collapse when people start coming out. And when that happens, Dan, that's when, geez, all of a sudden everybody's going to be a genius on this. I tell every guy that we're doing the same thing that we're doing. This little stuff that we're doing on Skype and YouTube and passing along this information, this is only being consumed by a very small amount of people who are even thinking or even getting ahead of the curve. But as soon as that anger phase happens, which is the next step of the awakening, when people do face the consequences, man, you're going to see cities burn, people committing suicide, mass hysteria, because they're totally unprepared for this. The next stage is bargaining. After these fires burn out, after people have had their hissy fits and deal with the new reality, they'll start entering the bargaining phase, and that's when this information, these videos that you do, will explode in popularity, because then people will start listening and going, you know what? I cannot listen to the guys that didn't see this coming. Maybe I should listen to the guys that did see this coming. And that is why, I think all the seeds that we're sowing, because that's what we're doing. We're sowing seeds with individual family members, individual community members. We're waking this up because at some point, those weird guys that no one would listen to are going to say, gee, Frank, you were right. I should have done that. Can you tell me now what to do or what really happened? Because now I'm ready. And that's when I think that we're going to see a spin back of all the horror that we're going to witness as humanity goes through this anger stage, and start spinning it back to a positive direction and something more sustainable. So that's my perception on what's going on. I don't think people are too stupid. I think that they've been purposely held from consequences and purposely withheld information. But when the consequences happen, people will start asking questions, start looking for answers, and man, you watch how fast things move then.
Now, a lot of the people who are advocating gold and silver, including myself, I own a few miners. I own two myself, but
Hmm?
I work with these miners, so I know them. It's different. I don't know if you saw my video, but for me, I don't feel like I'm buying a piece of paper. I feel like I'm partnering because I've seen the projects, I know the people. What is your assessment? I know you've talked about nationalization. I mean, there was also period when we had a gold standard where the miners were still privately owned.
Yeah.
They just sold everything they had to the government.
Yeah, at their
Um,
price. So,
do you see nationalization in countries like the United States, Australia, Brazil, Australia? These are countries. I guess the United States is kind of a wild card, but specifically Brazil, Canada, and Australia. These are mining countries,
yeah.
and as you know, 90% of the stocks, people don't know this, but they are listed in Canada first. Do you see these countries turning on their miners?
Yeah, I mean, your relationship, it would be like, would I want to go in a partner with some guy that I've known for a long time? Yeah, I'll trust him. I'm developing relationships now with people, through Skype. I'll trust them. But, on a certain level, you still have to wonder what's beyond them. Like, to me, Eric Sprott, James Turk, two of the, biggest names out there. To me, they have the highest quality of integrity and responsibility. And, Eric's probably the richest guy in Canada. He's still susceptible to a Canadian government. Is still susceptible to regulation. He's still susceptible to, having all of his wealth at I think the Canadian Royal Bank of whatever. He's still susceptible. And the thing that I'm trying to get to people is understand that there is a tremendous amount of risk and change coming. If you have wealth that you feel like you can put wisely to use, yeah, mining shares could probably do relatively well for a while, but you don't know when the market's going to quit. And or in the case of the Bolivian video, I mean, you sent me the article from Zero Hedge yesterday. Evo Morales, nationalized a mining thing. Those things happen overnight, and instantly, the stock is worth less. So, as long as you're not gambling with, the majority of your wealth. David Morgan's a great friend of mine. He has half of his money in physical and half in stocks. Me, I'm 100% in physical. I just don't trust anybody. So somewhere in that line is going to be people's risk factors, and where that lies is up to them. Do I think confiscation's coming? Do I think nationalization, taxation, all this stuff? Yeah. I think when you have thieves in government right now, and whether it's the local thief boss or the national thief boss, these guys, they don't produce wealth. They steal wealth. They regulate wealth. They tax wealth. And, when the juicy fruit comes up, I just don't see how a government's going to sit by when they have massive funding issues. I mean, geez, we got towns going broke and paying their, cops $7.50 an hour now. I don't see how they're just going to sit by and let a bunch of mines go, yahoo, without taxing it or regulating it or doing something along those lines. Now, if these miners, I think Eric Sprott's got this great idea, mine the metal, have value in it, but you know what? Store the metal with you, keep that maybe in a separate account or something so you can, diversify, put it out of the reach. If you're a miner in Bolivia, maybe have the company's mine the silver stored in Mexico or some other nation, so that you're not totally destroyed or the wealth is kept there. So I don't know. I mean, personally, I like the physical, but I understand the other arguments too.
Well, I mean, the physical no one's lost any money going with the physical. Obviously, a lot of miners have gone bankrupt, and a lot of miners haven't done well. The miners are actually in a bear market, when obviously
because of this
you
risk,
can argue
I think.
that. Go ahead, I couldn't hear you.
Because of this risk, I think that's what people are starting to feel. I think as people become more educated and thinking about this, they're like, gee, I don't trust, Apple stock or Facebook stock. So, that next level, yeah, it's one step better, but really, do I need to expose myself? So, that could be it. I think that's one of the reasons why it's been underperforming.
Yeah, I've seen some people, they're actually trying to teach people how to get the actual physical certificate. Mm-hmm. And store that. But of course, that scares me, because what if the house burns down? The paper's going to go in the air. You know. Final question is what's on everybody's minds all the time. And I'll tell you, I'm the first one to admit, I thought in 2008 that was going to be it. We were going to cascade into a severe collapse. Yep. What timing are you looking at right now?
Yeah, and to follow up on that, I mean, you don't leave $1 million fortune. You don't leave everything that you know. You don't leave your state. You don't leave your family based off of, this is going to be a minor recession. I thought it was going to blow then too, because to me, it was an unsustainable situation. So then people go, well, you were wrong in 2008 to thinking that it was all going to destroy and we somehow eked our way out of it. Why is this time going to be different? And I point to the reality that has come out of that collapse. The reality is that the United States, both politically, financially, socially, mentally, spiritually, has blown through all of its capital just to keep the system going. Back in 2008, people had jobs. Back in 2008, people had stock portfolios and 401ks and a little bit more faith in the economy. They believed the bankers. They believed the politicians. They haven't suffered from this. we're 4 years after, and nobody can tell me that we're better off now than we were, a month after the collapse. I think it's been much worse. We've blown through all of our breadstuffs. We don't have people with large savings accounts anymore. We don't have people who have these long careers and stuff. And this next collapse is not going to be an institutional Wall Street problem. It's going to be a sovereign nation problem. So to me, the all the stuff I was feeling in 2008, it's magnified now 10 times to the fact where I cannot think of any possible scenario that this does not end horribly, systemically, and globally.
A lot of people are calling for it right now, that it's actually starting to fall apart as we speak. Do you think 2012 is going to see a huge crash? And if we do see a huge crash, do you think the silver price is going to be? Do you think we're going even further down in the silver price?
Okay, so think about what happened in 2008. 2008, silver actually, I believe, is what started the 2008 crisis. March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, I was having a great time. Silver was rocking and rolling. Come to find out, what was it? Bear Stearns, went bankrupt. Then we come to find out that they had large silver shorts and that silver was going up. They were taking on tremendous losses. J.P. Morgan ends up taking over that position, backed by the government, backed by the Federal Reserve, and they were able to go out and start driving the price of silver down from $21 down to $8. And if that time period from March all the way until October, we had all these tremors of Wall Street institutions having problems with their finances. Well, at the end of the day, sovereign nations accumulated all the problems that these institutions, both AIG and here's my little dude. Can you say hi?
Hi.
Okay. Let me try to finish this because if I get him out of here, so all these institutions got saved by these sovereign nations. And all that debt and risk and stuff got pumped into the sovereign nations, and we ended up paying for the losses of the institutions. This time around, the nation of Greece will be played, or the role of Lehman Brothers will be played by Greece. The role of AIG will be played by the United States. The role of GM will be played by Japan. These are sovereign nations now, and there's no higher level that's going to cover these losses. And when that happens, man, it's everything that goes, because this is a faith-based currency. And as soon as faith is broken, all social and financial contracts all over the world will be broken instantly, because people cannot or will not fulfill their promises that they made prior to the world changing. And it will happen quickly. And that's why I tell people, don't wait until you think it's going to happen. Know that it's going to happen. Prepare like it's going to happen. And just be ready, for me, years ahead of time. Than it is to be one day too late, because then you'll have no options, no choices, no moving money around, no waiting for delivery, no setting your family up, none of this stuff. It takes time. It takes responsibility, and it takes thoughtful, purposeful action.
Chris, where's the best place for people to go if they want to reach you?
My YouTube channel is probably the best. You can reach me at it's called Truth Never Told on YouTube, or The Greatest Truth Never Told. We started 9 months ago. I had no idea how to make videos. I'm a car dealer, guys. I'm not this techie kind of guy. But through my persistence, I've been able to push this through. But we've been putting up videos on YouTube. 9 months, we got 3.6 million views, and doing really well. I have thegreatesttruthnevertold.com, and don't-tread-on.me is the main blog.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, it was really great talking to you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Take care.